Welcome back to LEGO Wars and our final part of this year's International Special. After a bruising first round, we've lost the defending champs Ripperoni alongside fellow international winners Duck and Petunia, but stalwarts Atlas remain alongside most of our main series winners, so let's see who else will join them tonight.
First, from England, Agro.
The Third Wars champs were back at their bludgeoning best as they disposed of Weldor M and will be one of the favourites for the title tonight.
From England, Atlas.
The second international champs made swift work of Bricker last time out, breaking a recent run of bad luck in brackets and will be one to watch tonight.
From Iceland, Kato.
The pink Axbot had a strong performance over Omeganator in round 1, but with Flashover straight ahead, we may require a body bag for the veterans.
From Australia, Chompy.
LEGO Wars' only Grabber had a vintage performance in round 1, bullying Scorpios around the arena and now have their sights set on breaking their top 8 curse.
From Sweden, Cron.
Last year's grand finalists adjusted well to their mini-bot abandonment against Whack, and thermal permitting, they could be on for another deep run.
From Ireland, Dior.
The veterans pulled a big upset last time, disabling Pegasus' Flipper, but they've never made a top 8 in the bracket and will have their work cut out tonight to break that duck.
From Norway, Disgruntled Guardian.
The only pure rookie in the running sent Nightmare to the Shadow Realm in its debut and will be out to show that wasn't a flash in the pan.
From Germany, Flashover Delta.
This new Flashover is a completely different beast to the one that fought in Series 2 and 3 as they dismantled Monsoon and will be out for more scalps tonight.
From France, Lemmings.
The mini-bots have continued their run of chaos into the finals, and I'm sure they would love to ruin my evening by winning the competition just so they could return.
From Scotland, Mr. Waffle.
Our Braveheart boy took out the defending champs to be here and could be a real dark horse for the title.
From South Korea, Orby Blade.
Orby again showed why it's the best horizontal in the series last time, breaking former champs Waddledee, but the ghosts of their battery woes remain and could come back to bite them at any point.
From Wales, Panic Attack.
Panic finally broke its losing streak in International with a JD over Muffin and have their sights firmly set on the final to complete their Triple Crown.
From Japan, Project Shadow.
Battery issues appear to be a thing of the past now for Shadow after dominating former champs Petunia to be here tonight.
From England, Sweepy.
One hit was all it took for the poster boy to shut down Wilbert's drive last time out, but they will have their work cut out to repeat their top 8 finish from last year.
From the USA, Tantrum.
The defending series champs dumped Duck down the pit in under a minute and are still on course for their bid to hold both main series and international crowns at the same time.
From Canada, Zoidy Blu.
The Canadian Crusher finally looks to have bounced back from a rough couple of years against Hospitaller, but they're still lacking that KO potential which may hold them back later on. Let's jump straight into the action with Fight 1 between the Pizza Slayers Mr. Waffle and the impressive rookies Disgruntled Guardian.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Scotland take on Norway then in this round of 16 clash, the first of the round of 16 clashes on display tonight. Mr. Waffle with the bacon blade now reattached. Oh, and causing damage to the front of Disgruntled Guardian there. Disgruntled Guardian, of course, a famous debut win over Nightmare from Canada, the Norwegian representative. The debut, of course, in LEGO Wars, but carnage is being caused here by the bacon blade of Mr. Waffle, who has been in absolutely inspired form so far. Disgruntled Guardian, you'd have to say, probably an ideal opponent to take on Mr. Waffle. They have got that enormous wedge-shaped shield at the front to deflect the horizontal spinner, but so far Mr. Waffle has proven to be an absolute pain for Disgruntled Guardian, and the rookie will have to be aware of their potential, that damage potential of the bacon blade. They have got good pushing power as well. They're deceptively good, like I said in the previous part, similar to kind of, Hazard, similar to, Brutality, Perfect Phoenix, whatever you want to call that style of robot, the flat robot with the wedge and also the horizontal spinner, and the Disgruntled Guardian are finding that out here. Based somewhat off of Ragnarok, the BattleBots entry. Disgruntled Guardian with those two big wheels which give it all that kind of traction and power and drive ability in the arena. Down comes, the hammer, but ripped away the hammerhead of Disgruntled Guardian. The hammerhead has come off, and what we're going to do now, waggle your stick at them. Good luck, lads. I actually think it's broken the piece in the middle there. Look, it's kind of snapped it off. So that is actual LEGO damage caused by Mr. Waffle here. The bacon blade is absolutely doing work here. It's, you know, can they rustle up a breakfast of champions here? Mr. Waffle, they're doing a very good job so far. This is their best run in internationals, or their equal best run in international competition. They've made it to the round of 16 before, but this is a much better opportunity. They have a chance here to progress through to the last 8, and they're doing a very good job here of causing carnage to Disgruntled Guardian, like ripping off the wedge shield at the front. Look, it's all bent and buckled to one side, and that is going to be crucial damage because Disgruntled Guardian now has no defence to that horizontal spinner, and in fact they've ripped away the bottom part as well, and Disgruntled Guardian here is being dishevelled and destroyed by Mr. Waffle. This is an incredible performance. They've ripped off one of the wheels of Disgruntled Guardian. It's bouncing around all over the place, rocking and rolling, but I don't think it's going to do much good. It's going to do much good. Well, it's not going to do much good at all anymore. The other wheel has been ripped away, and this has been a unbelievable breakout performance from Mr. Waffle. We've not seen this kind of carnage before, and Mr. Waffle is going to get a knockout win over Disgruntled Guardian for Scotland, and they're going to go through to the quarterfinals. Mr. Waffle is your winner. Well done to them. Well, on the face of it, Mr. Waffle should be at a bit of a disadvantage here. That kind of big plough at the front of Disgruntled Guardian should have been more than enough to handle the bacon blade of Mr. Waffle, but it wasn't. The hammerhead ripped away there as well. Mr. Waffle's bacon blade causing all kinds of carnage to the front shield of Disgruntled Guardian, ripped away as well, destroying one of the wheels, destroying the bottom part as well of that wedge, and in the end, they were served up by the breakfast bot.
An outstanding start to the action tonight as Mr. Waffle tore apart the stubborn Guardian to move on to the top 8. They'll face the winner of our next bout as Agro takes on Project Shadow.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Agro representing England, Project Shadow representing Japan. Our second round of 16 clash is underway. One of the things that links these two robots is David's most recent redesign of his Beetleweight Agro has a shadow livery. Now you know. I wonder if we can find out who is the coolest though out of these two, because Project Shadow and Agro going face to face. Agro's face already falling off. I don't think that was due to the pressure of the Project Shadow spinning disc at the front, and there the arena spikes come up and poke out of the holes in the arena floor. Agro backs into the pits. Early doors. Maybe they think they can outmaneuver and outcontrol Project Shadow, maybe push them down the pit. Be very impressive if they could. Agro and Project Shadow. Good push by Project Shadow. Agro trying to get round to the back and bring the hammer down, but not really getting that opportunity thus far. Project Shadow trying to get to the side, maybe tear off one of the wheels. Interesting tactics between these two. Project Shadow face to face with Agro Wobber. Agro Wobber couldn't get in underneath there with its own wedge front. The little wedge slits in underneath that spinning disc of Project Shadow, proving very effective. And in underneath now goes Project Shadow. In underneath Agro Wobber pushes Agro Wobber back against the arena wall, and in response Agro pushes Project Shadow across the arena. Project Shadow now gets that spinning disc back up to speed. A tentative fight, this one, between these two. The former champions, Agro of course, winners of Series 3 of LEGO Wars. Project Shadow only in its sophomore season, but so far has kind of turned a few heads. It's been a much improved display from Project Shadow. It may not be the ultimate life form yet, but they're certainly doing well. And maybe we will be singing All Hail Shadow maybe at the end of this tournament, who knows. Project Shadow pushing Agro towards the pit, doesn't get it down though. Agro escapes and now tries to face up to that front spinning disc once again. Agro swings its hammer, but to no avail. Agro trying to get itself front on like that and bring the hammer down on top of the spinning disc once again, and twice and 3 times, missing that time though. Project Shadow, are they struggling here? It isn't certainly one of the most destructive fights, this one. It's very tentative, very controlled, very, tentative, I'd say. Both of these two realise they've got a decent shot of winning this competition if they're careful, and I think that might be playing into their tactics here. They're both very tactical, very cautious. They don't want to take too much damage from the other. Maybe worrying about future fights and not about each other, but they're going to go to a decision at this point. There's only 5 seconds remaining unless there's a major change quickly here. It's going to go to our panel of experts to decide who goes through
6.
to fight Mr. Waffle in the round of 8. Too close to call for me. Over to the judges. Cagey, steady, not spectacular, not really words we'd use to describe either Agro or Project Shadow in previous LEGO Wars outings, but in this case, probably fair. Agro bringing the hammer down multiple times on Project Shadow. Project Shadow didn't really cause enormous damage to Agro was kind of able to control portions of the fight, as Project Shadow were as well. I don't want to call this. This is really tough for the judges.
And the winner, by split decision, is Project Shadow. Bit of an upset there as our Third Wars champs fall by the wayside for another special. Now it's Kato's time to try and upset the odds against the dangerous Flashover Delta.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Flashover Delta taking on Kato Nemoidia. Kato Nemoidia, of course, with a big win over Omeganator in the first round, representing Iceland. Flashover defeating Monsoon very, very impressively in the first round. Of course, are representing Germany, and and a big impact there on the chin of Kato Nemoidia. Now, what kind of damage will that cause? Well, that will cause damage as well. Look, something flying off Kato Nemoidia there, and that is going to cause carnage, isn't it? That weapon, if it's not careful. Kato Nemoidia will be very, very careful not to go too hard in on that weapon at the front of Flashover. Flashover's weapon stilled momentarily, and part of that wedge setup has been broken away, but doesn't seem to be bothering it too much, does it? Still getting in underneath so easily at the front. And Kato Nemoidia, so far, wow, they're doing a pretty decent effort to try and stay away from that big vertical disc at the front of Flashover. So far, I'd say they've been pretty adept at staying, although they have been de-eyed. They've had their eyes removed, but the wedge is still there. I don't know how that's worked. Kato currently blind in the arena. Flashover trying to bring that big spinning weapon into play and causing all kinds of cranial damage to the face of Kato Nemoidia. The Icelandic entry! Oh, it's exploded now, the face! Well, that's a good attack from Flashover. Flashover now probably in the ascendancy, and I think Kato Nemoidia realise that they're trying to push them down the pit and fast, but have they got enough pushing power to get that big spinning weapon down the pit, or will it be too little too late? Kato Nemoidia getting torn apart now by Flashover, and this weapon at the front, this vertical spinner entry from Germany, is much improved from the original Flashover robot we saw way back when. Flashover nowadays a force to be reckoned with, and Kato Nemoidia is no slouch. They regularly place in the bracket of LEGO Wars, and in this match they're being made to look very, very amateurish, and Flashover could be a real threat, not only in this competition but in LEGO Wars Series 5 when that rolls around in a few weeks' time.
6.
Kato Nemoidia committing Harry-Carry and are down the pit. Flashover through to the next round. A very bright and vibrant pairing, but there was only going to be one winner when the two came to blows in the arena. Kato Nemoidia were valiant and brave. They brought that hammer down where they could and controlled the fight where they could, but in the end, the damage told. The face ripped apart by Flashover there. Look at that bang, massive impact, and then in the end, poor driving costing Kato Nemoidia in this competition.
An absolute slaughter from Flashover as they move on to the quarterfinals. Next up, it's Panic Attack trying to keep control against the troublesome Lemmings.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
So I may have made a few mistakes in the last fight which involved Lemmings. No one noticed, I'm sure, that it was actually David Hydefierce and not
David Hydefierce.
Angry in the arena. But we'll just gloss over that. Oh, and the pit button already activated by Panic Attack, who's been pushed around by Squire there for the Lemmings. Panic Attack a little bit more controlled than Mastiff. You know, a little bit less cursed, I guess, as well. Former champions of LEGO Wars. Although the Lemmings are pushing Panic Attack towards the pit and nearly got them down. What an upset that would have been for Panic Attack to go down the pit at this stage. Hangry in there as well. There's Crabantine going face to face with Panic Attack. Panic Attack getting ganged up on here. If they can eliminate one of these three, I imagine it will help immeasurably with the fight. So far, I'd say probably Lemmings just about on top. That early control from Panic Attack certainly hasn't been shown, has it? The former champions of LEGO Wars, winners of Series 1 of LEGO Wars, of course destroyed by Panic Attack, the heavyweight at Robo Nerd, and of course Lemmings was born at Robo Nerd, this version of Lemmings with the Robo Nerd graphic stickering on the top as well. Well, certainly at Crabbentine as well, the graphic on the top. Squire and Hangry, meanwhile, pushing Panic Attack, and they push Panic Attack towards the pit again. This is a great combined effort. Oh, by the Lemmings! And over goes Crabbentine, and that could be a swing factor there, because as I said earlier, if they can get rid of one of them, Panic Attack, it would give them so much more opportunity to kind of control the fight. And Hangry now in all kinds of trouble. Panic Attack now has one of the Lemming trio against the wall. Hangry and Squire remaining. Crabbentine over and out, going full turtle on its back. Can't get away from their Squire. Pushed back towards the pit, and Panic Attack now as a 1v1, and that has been expertly manoeuvred by Panic Attack. Can Hangry win the fight here? They've knocked out two of the Lemmings. Panic Attack, can they get all three? Or can Hangry take it to a decision? Maybe it's going to be a big ask for them to win the fight. Panic Attack now has Hangry against the arena wall and has them on their lifting forks. Beautifully controlled by Panic Attack. They are carrying Hangry in the air towards the pit. Can they get him down? No, and they almost drove down the pit in sympathy there. Couldn't quite carry Hangry all the way to the pit. Now Hangry underneath Panic Attack once again. A brilliant effort and a valiant display by Hangry to stay in the fight. I don't think it's going to be enough for them though against Panic Attack, who have knocked out two of their comrades, as it goes to a judge's decision between Lemmings and Panic Attack. Great fight. Well, for a brief, glorious moment I thought it was going to happen, but Lemmings, despite the bright success at the start, look almost getting Panic Attack down the pit, and some great teamwork between the three of them. I think it may just fizzle out because of this moment here. Well, first that moment there with Crabbentine getting turned over by Panic Attack. Panic Attack slowly getting a grip in the fight, eliminating Squire as well, before turning their attention to Hangry for the remainder of the fight. I just think it's going to be the Welsh Robot's day.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Panic Attack. Peace has been restored to the arena as Lemmings were picked off one by one by the Series 1 champs. Now we'll move over to the other side of the bracket with two titans of the series, Tantrum and Atlas, facing one another for the first time.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Tantrum taking on Atlas then. Our former, international champions in Atlas, of course, and our current LEGO Wars champions, USA's Tantrum, going head to head with Atlas and ripping off the track of Atlas immediately, and that will scupper any manoeuvrability and any hope of Atlas winning this fight, because Tantrum now can just manoeuvre itself to the side, look, and smack Atlas's bucket scoop like it's not even there, and just buffet the former international champions away. Atlas here are in all kinds of danger now. Tantrum in the ascendancy, and I think surely this is going to only end in one result, isn't it? Because Tantrum at the moment, the current LEGO Wars champions, are back on form and back on song, and they are absolutely trashing Atlas. Atlas can't get away, they can't escape, and this is Tantrum's fight to lose now. The bucket scoop isn't doing enough to kind of stop and scupper that weapon of Tantrum. Can they finish them off though? Tantrum, they were hoping they could do so. Atlas backing themselves into the corner here, and they know that Tantrum won't want to follow them around the pit, but they escape the pit themselves, and the other track that's still been torn apart has been flung back onto the robot. It's now carrying it like some kind of grisly mark of failure, if you like, of Atlas to defend its tracks sufficiently from Tantrum's weapon. Tantrum, so far, the manoeuvrability and that devastating punching weapon has done all that it needed to do to win this fight. What can Atlas do to change the tide here? They're still in this, ultimately. Tantrum haven't finished them off yet. Can they turn the tide of the fight, Atlas, or is it too little too late? Tantrum trying to get to that other track maybe and split it and rip it apart, but Atlas is still driving fairly true. Like, I think what they're trying to do here is hover around the pit and try and, you know, lure Tantrum down it. Maybe that's their kind of only tactic they've got left to them. Tantrum, their spinning weapon has stopped momentarily, is back up and running once again. Atlas stuck in that corner. Are they just going to try and hide around the pit? Canny from Atlas, and a good impact there from Tantrum, but doesn't quite get enough purchase on Atlas to send it buffeting into the pit. Atlas still holding on here, and Tantrum will be aware they haven't finished Atlas off. They tried to do it there. No, Atlas survives. Atlas doing very, very well here to stay in the fight, and they are proving themselves, as always. They are a difficult opponent to finish off, and if they take it to a decision, then fair play, because this has been a very impressive performance from Atlas. Tantrum, I think, are going to win this one.
6.
But, you know, the fact that Atlas have taken it to a decision, it deserves respect. Well done to them. Well, whilst I expect the judges' decision to be a bit of a formality, we should take a little bit of time to reflect on how efficient Tantrum was at kind of winning the fight, eliminating the track of Atlas there, buffeting their front scoop. But despite all that brilliance early on from Tantrum, they couldn't finish off a very wounded and limping Atlas. Atlas were able to control themselves very, very well and keep in the fight despite the damage, and that'll be a concern for Tantrum later on.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Tantrum. The earlier lost track scuppered Atlas's chances of another top 4 run in internationals as Tantrum continues their path to the final. Next up, it's our last English bot in the running, Sweepy, against Zoidy Blu.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Zoidy Blu and Sweepy go head to head for Zoidy Blu representing Canada once again. No prizes for guessing who Sweepy is representing, judging by the St George's Cross on top of their horizontal spinner. Zoidy Blu, of course, a good win in their first fight, defeating Hospitaller. Sweepy, I mean, can you call their first fight a fight? I suppose it did make contact with Wilbur, I guess, but Wilbur didn't really offer much resistance. Zoidy Blu going for the pit button and activating the pit button immediately. Good pushing here from Zoidy Blu as well. Great pushing from Zoidy Blu. In fact, kind of pushed that bulking, hulking mammoth of a robot that is Sweepy back, one of the heaviest entrants into LEGO Wars. Of course, it is a shuffler, so that's fine. Sweepy shuffling, trying to get that weapon into play, but is Zoidy Blu too low to the ground? Certainly to make any meaningful contact, I guess, with that ultra low chassis of Zoidy Blu. Zoidy Blu doing very well of navigating that big spinning bar and getting round to the back and the sides of Sweepy. What can Sweepy do to turn the tide of the fight in their favour? And the answer is so far not very much, because Zoidy Blu, they know they have issues with thermal cutout, and what they're doing here is, I think they're being very clever, is just kind of hovering to the side and not really expending much energy where they can do. But despite that, I've just said that, and now look, they're thermaling on the arena floor. So, you know, clearly I wasn't, paying much attention. Sweepy trying to come in on the attack again, but that weapon just bouncing off of Zoidy Blu's incredibly tough exoskeleton. And I think Sweepy are going to have their work cut out here to try and get past the Canadian entry in this World International Championship. I don't think at the moment there's enough to suggest Sweepy can kind of cause the damage that they want to cause to Zoidy Blu. Zoidy Blu having issues once again with their heat capacity in that robot. Standing off, just manoeuvring themselves enough out of the way and out of harm's reach of that big horizontal spinner, the angled horizontal spinner of Sweepy. This really is one for the purists, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not going to lie to you. This is, we're expecting, carnage and devastation when Sweepy enters the arena, and great control from Zoidy Blu, but we're not really getting that, and it is going to go to time. And I don't envy the judges having to, decipher this fight a bit more clearly than I have. But yeah, it goes to the decision. That sure was a fight. Well done, guys. A canny and tactical display, I think, from Zoidy Blu was, well, kind of on show here. They managed to avoid that big horizontal spinner of Sweepy for basically the entire 3 minutes of the fight. Sweepy tried their best, but that manoeuvrability of theirs is lacking. We know that they weren't able to escape the clutches of Zoidy Blu, and I think that is going to be the determining factor of this fight. But it wasn't a thriller, was it?
And the winner by unanimous decision is Zoidy Blu. A rather slow encounter, but it's Zoidy who makes it through to the quarterfinals to face Tantrum. Meanwhile, it's an all red and black encounter on a penultimate fight of this round with Dior and Chompy.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Dior and Chompy face to face. Ireland and Australia represented in the arena. Dior, of course, getting that very, very impressive win over Pegasus in the first round. Chompy doing the job against Scorpios. Scorpios in the pit. Chompy trying to manoeuvre itself to the side of Dior. Now to the front and grab hold of that lifting arm and bucket scoop on the red polka dot machine. It's a very bit of a kit clash between these two, isn't it, with the red and the black. Chompy hits the pit button. Pit goes down. They're fancying their chances of a nice routine victory already, and they are bullying and pushing Dior around the arena here very nicely. Dior against the arena wall. What can they do to turn the tide of the fight? That ground game at the front of Chompy is so effective. We've seen it over the years, and they haven't got the grab and lift anymore, Chompy, but they are still brutally effective as a pusher and a grabber. And so far, you'd have to say they are the ones in the ascendancy in this fight. Dior pushed towards the pit and down the pit. Chompy, as cool as you like, are through to the round of 8 with a win over Dior. Well done to the Australians. Well, Chompy doing Chompy things, I think, in this fight. Chompy's ground game, much the superior one over Dior. Dior never really stood a chance against Chompy's drive power and ground game combination. It was a routine victory, as I said. They just opened the pit button, turned them round, and bumped them down the pit. Through go Chompy.
Another impressive performance from Chompy as they make their first quarterfinal appearance since the third international. They'll face the winner of our last bout of this round between Cron and Orby.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Our last round of 16 fight then. Orby Blade representing South Korea against Cron representing Sweden. You'd have to say, based off the earlier round, the favourite here would probably be Orby Blade, although Cron have no fear and have gone straight in on the attack on Orby Blade. They've taken damage, their face has been ripped off, but they will not care because they are going for it here. Forks ripped off again. Orby Blade, it's just systematic, isn't it? The way that it causes damage and is brutally efficient in the arena. Cron goes for the pit button though. They are confident they've got it in hand. They think they can eliminate Orby Blade here and push them down the pit and secure a famous win. Of course, last year they were runners-up in LEGO Wars, Orby Blade. Have they got enough in hand here to beat Cron? You'd have to say they're probably the favourites to do so. Orby Blade pushing Cron back. Stuck against the arena wall. What can they do? Cron have now got the blade of Orby Blade stilled and trying to lift Orby Blade off the floor, and they've done that using the 4-bar lifter. And can they drag Orby Blade to the pit maybe? Or maybe can they turn them over and pin them against the wall? This is great control by Cron, the Swedish entry, of course, last year's runner-up of the international special, of course, coming into this. So far, you'd have to say, superbly done. Cron Orby Blade. Well, they're stopped and they're being counted out here, and I wonder what's happened to Orby Blade here because they have just completely stopped in the arena, and it's going to be a famous win, a wonderful win for Cron as they go through to the round of 8. What on earth happened to Orby Blade? Well, it was all looking so good for Orby Blade. They were causing damage to Cron's Blow at the start, but Cron's Blow were very, very brave in their attacks. They kept coming at them. They didn't give up at any point. Yes, they took damage. They had forks knocked off and the wedge knocked off, but as the fight wore on, Cron's Blow just seemed to be getting a great grasp of the fight, and in the end pushed them all the way across the arena and left them immobilised against the arena wall. What an upset!
The battery gremlins have struck once again for Orby as Cron completes our top 8. For the first time in internationals, we don't have a single English boss in the quarterfinals, while 2 series champions remain in contention. First though, it's the 2 remaining horizontals in the running as Mr. Waffle takes on Shadow.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
This for a place in the international semi-final Project Shadow from Japan. And I mean, the surprise package that really is Mr. Waffle from Scotland, and Project Shadow causing damage already to the side panel there of Mr. Waffle, and there goes the blade on the top, and Project Shadow is now looking at the favourite certainly, but they've definitely tilted the odds in their favour because they have got rid of the Mr. Waffle Bacon Blade, and they have shredded all the side panels as well. Now, what can Project Shadow do? They've got this fight in the palm of their hands. It will be a massive, massive turnaround for it to not go their way. Mr. Waffle trying to go face to face with the, well, I said it wasn't the ultimate life form, but it's certainly proving to be pretty ultimate at the moment. And, well, Mr. Waffle has hit the pit button, and Project Shadow's spinning weapon there. It looks a little bit off balance. You saw the little black panel to the right of your picture fly off, and since then the weapon of Project Shadow has been a little bit off centre, a little bit off balance. So there'll be key moments maybe for them, but Mr. Waffle, they haven't given up in this fight. They've certainly stayed in the fight, and they're pushing Project Shadow here towards the pit. Despite no Bacon Blade, doesn't really matter to them because they've got Project Shadow on the lip of the pit and they're caught between a rock and a hard place. Get out of there, boys. What are you going to do, Project Shadow? Because they can't really drive forward, and incredibly, Mr. Waffle, I think, here have been geniuses and have pinned Project Shadow in. Project Shadow doing their best to manoeuvre out of that tight corner. They've just about managed to do it, but this is brilliant control from Mr. Waffle. They've used their discarded Bacon Blade to prevent an escape there for Project Shadow around the pit, and Project Shadow have made a critical driving error. They're going to right on the lip of the pit. Can they get away? What a turnaround this would be from Mr. Waffle if they can get Project Shadow down the pit. The Scottish entry on the verge of the semi-finals, and they've done it! Down the pit go Project Shadow, eliminated, and Mr. Waffle is the winner. What a turnaround. What a shocker. Well, the classic Mr. Waffle Achilles heel reared its head once again. The Bacon Blade coming away in that attack there by Project Shadow, and Project Shadow were in the ascendancy. They had the fight pretty much in the palm of their hands, but Mr. Waffle, they never gave up. They kept pressing, they kept pushing, pinned Project Shadow in that corner, and with some deft driving, some clever tactics, Project Shadow were outsmarted in the end, and they ended up down the pit.
Some precision driving from a weaponless Waffle takes Scotland into the semi-finals. They may get a rematch from their first international fight if Panic can beat Flashover Delta in our next bout.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, after that shocking victory, will we have another here? Panic Attack, representing Wales, having a pretty decent run of things in terms of their former international appearance. Sort of pedigree would dictate, but Flashover here has already caused damage to the front of Panic Attack. That vertical spinner churning away on Flashover Delta. The forks that at the front of Panic Attack rise and drop, but at the moment not able to get in underneath those ski slope plows, I think is the actual part of the Flashover wedge, and so far Flashover Delta has been a real revelation in the Flashover series. They have really leapt forward with this iteration of the robot, and Panic Attack is all bent and buckled. The middle panel has been buckled away and torn away, and this is a very impressive performance. Beating Monsoon is impressive enough. Kato and Moidia, okay, an established veteran, but have never scaled to the heights of Panic Attack. Panic Attack is a bona fide legend of LEGO Wars. They've won a LEGO Wars championship, whereas Flashover have not. Panic Attack here have got work to do and they know it. Can Panic Attack get round the side and get in underneath? They can. Good driving there from Panic Attack, getting in underneath those wedges that time, but not able to capitalise. Flashover continues to progress in that direction. Oh, and a massive hit! A massive hit on Panic Attack at the front end. Ripped away. Panic Attack now in all kinds of problems. I've not seen Panic Attack damage quite like this before. Panic Attack here, normally so sturdy and resolute, and Flashover is making them look flimsy and weak by comparison. What can Panic Attack do to turn the tide of the fight? Well, on the evidence of this, not very much. Those forks at the front have been next to, well, not really been much use at all. They've been next to useless. Flashover's weapon, meanwhile, probably one of the talking points of this international tournament, because they are going to be a force to be reckoned with when LEGO Wars rolls around once again, the main competition. Panic Attack, meanwhile, getting absolutely trashed. What can they do here? Not very much. The top armor's now been caved in as well. It's all starting to come apart for Panic Attack. It's like it's been hit by the heavyweight again. Slowly but surely disintegrating. Flashover. That weapon continues to churn, and this is a very, very impressive performance, isn't it? Okay, I know Panic Attack are not the darling of the field they once were, but they're still a force to be reckoned with, and, well, clearly, Flashover are as well. They have lost one of those wedges at the front. They won't mind that. Panic Attack, meanwhile, is looking absolutely trashed out there. And it is going to go to time, I think. The judges are going to have to make a decision. Panic Attack have held on for this long, but I don't think there's going to be very much deliberation between the judges as we go to time. Flashover Delta, what a performance against Panic Attack, and Panic Attack looks stunned. I'm rapidly running out of superlatives to kind of describe this leap forward by Flashover Delta, because this is an incredible performance against a former LEGO Wars champion. They buckled the front end. Yes, they survived a bit of a scare here when Panic Attack got in underneath. This impact here, ripping off the front panel of Panic Attack. I've not seen Panic Attack damage quite like that before. And once again here, damaged at the rear as well. Incredible performance by Flashover. Surely a foregone conclusion with the judges.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Flashover Delta. Panic Attack's chances of completing the Triple Crown come to an end for another year as Flashover puts in another starring performance to move on. Now it's the last champ left in the running, Tantrum, against former international finalist Zoidy Blu.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Zoidy Blu taking on Tantrum then, the LEGO Wars champion taking on Zoidy Blu, a very resolute and stout machine, but those thermal issues that they hoped they'd resolved have reared their head throughout this competition, and I wonder against a more mobile opponent like Tantrum whether that will be a deciding factor in the course of the fight. So far Zoidy Blu has got those grabbing arms wedged in behind the kind of front panel of Tantrum there. Let's go now. Tantrum and Zoidy Blu go face to face once again. Tantrum not really able to get that weapon into play just yet. They're trying their best. Pit burn activated by Tantrum. Is that going to be wise for them? Zoidy Blu trying to get side on. We've already seen one champion go out in this round of 8. We see a second in Tantrum. Tantrum so far though not really falling by the wayside, not really being under pressure to Zoidy Blu. Zoidy Blu, they're controlling themselves very well and getting those arms into awkward positions, but they are the ones that are being pushed back continually. The more aggressive, I'd say, so far, Tantrum, but long way to go in this fight yet. Tantrum with the arms raised. Oh, and Zoidy Blu almost caught Tantrum napping there. Didn't quite manage to get it down the pit, though. Tantrum survives. Tantrum zipping around the arena. Zoidy Blu, face to face again with Tantrum. It's a good heave-ho between the two, but Tantrum is the one more often than not who's in control of the fight, pushing Zoidy Blu back. That big weapon of Tantrum, though, has yet to really get into Zoidy Blu and cause any real carnage. They're trying their best, not really able to cause the damage that they'd want to. Zoidy Blu, again, controlling it well. They're trying to stay away from that front of Tantrum, but Tantrum is the one chasing and pressing and causing Zoidy Blu the headaches. Tantrum skates across the arena to try and follow Zoidy Blu. Zoidy Blu trying their best to avoid the thermal issues that they've had throughout this competition, and pushed inexorably towards the pit, but get away. Still going. Zoidy Blu pushes Tantrum back this time. He gets a claw on the spinning weapon, but avoids any further punishment. And now Zoidy Blu on the spikes, lifted up by the arena spikes. Oh, gets away just in time before Tantrum can swipe their side. And now Zoidy Blu pushes Tantrum back again. A great little heave-ho between these two for a place in the international semi-finals. Zoidy Blu lifted up in the air. Can Zoidy Blu get those arms around Tantrum and push them maybe down the pit? So they've got the weapon stopped of Tantrum there. And they're going to go to time here, these two. This has been a really interesting and tactical scrap between the two. Tantrum, the more aggressive. Zoidy Blu, I think, the more effective with their weaponry. I would not want to be a judge for this one. This is a really close and tense fight. Well, the judges have been earning their coin tonight. Zoidy Blu came straight on the attack and pushed Tantrum back and knocked one of their eyes into their spinner. Tantrum couldn't quite reach the chassis of Zoidy Blu. Will that be a deciding factor with the judges? Zoidy Blu had moments of aggression and control, almost got Tantrum down the pit, but Tantrum got away. Tantrum generally were the ones pressing and pushing Zoidy Blu around. I will want to call this one.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Tantrum. A nail-biting decision, but it'll be Tantrum keeping America's hopes of a third title running as they move on to the semis. Let's see if it'll be Australia's Chompy or Sweden's Cron taking that final spot in the top 4.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Chompy and Cron for our final place in the semi-finals. Cron now rejoined by his mini-bot partner, fresh from losing as part of Lemmings, the Squire, chasing around, trying to disrupt and discombobulate Chompy. Chompy, meanwhile, looking in imperious form so far, the Australian entry. They are pushing around and slamming Cron into that arena wall. Cron head-to-head with Chompy, Squire in the middle as well, trying to get around to the sides, maybe in underneath Chompy and disrupt their front end from being as effective as it is. But it's such a difficult robot to beat, Chompy. It's so well driven, beautifully made, front end is so low to the ground. How do you beat it? That is the question. Chompy goes for the pit button there, confident. Well, they destroyed that pit button. You know, Chompy, we know you've come a long way. You will pay for our arena damages. Chompy getting round to the side of Cron. Squire tried to help out its buddy. Doesn't quite manage it. Pushed back into the arena wall by Chompy. Chompy once again with Squire. Cron, the Swedish entry, last year's runner-up, of course. Had a great run to second place in the International Championship last time around. It's stirred opposition here. Oh, and Chompy ripping the face off of Cron. So Cron now sans face. In underneath Chompy though. Chompy once again controlling the pace of the fight, keeping Cron at their front and preventing Squire from getting around to the side as well, like that. But Squire now manages a little, almost for a second, managed to make it through to the side panel and just stays out the pit. Can Chompy get Squire down the pit? I don't know how Squire stayed out the pit there, to be honest. Cron now pushed back and grappled again by Chompy. This is a great little tactical fight, isn't it? Two excellently driven machines, two machines currently, I'd say, at the top of their game, it has to be said. Cron looking a lot more effective than it has in the past, and the same can be said for Chompy, to be fair. Chompy's always been fairly decent, but this is a real step in the right direction. They've simplified the weapon for this series, and it's paying off as things stand. Cron in that corner. Get away. Squire, and now into the 4 spikes. That was poor control, though, from Chompy. They've been on top throughout. They just get away with that. They push Cron almost towards the pit. Can they get him down? Not quite. Cron on the very lip of the pit. Chompy almost drove down as well. Now, a bit of split screen, actually. We like that. David doing some editing. Who'd have thought? Chompy, they're going to go to time here. 5 seconds to go. Cron does get out from the pit corner.
6.
And it is going to go to time between Chompy and Cron, and of course Squire in there as well. Good fight. Well, fast-paced and frantic are two words that I'd use to describe that fight. Brilliant control from all of the drivers involved. Cron's blow, they did get some opportunities against Chompy, but Chompy's ground game was just too good. They ripped off Cronsblow's face as well. Squire got involved in the action quite a lot after its defeat with Lemmings, but almost ended up down the pit, didn't quite manage to go down. And, you know, whilst Cronsblow did get some opportunities, I think it was Chompy the one in control throughout the fight.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Chompy. Not even having Squire back on its side was enough for Cron to get ahead of Chompy as the grabber finally breaks its top 8 curse. We'll see its semi-final against Tantrum shortly, but first up it's a classic horizontal v vertical matchup between Mr. Waffle and Flashover Delta.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Hands up if you thought this was going to be a semi-final. You're all lying. Flashover Delta from Germany, Mr. Waffle from Scotland. Who will take our first place in the international final, the International 5 final? Mr. Waffle has never made it this far. Flashover Delta, of course, a new robot, but you know, from a familiar team and much, much improved from their historical performances. Flashover and Mr. Waffle, well, the weapon has stopped on Flashover. It hasn't done that all night, and I do wonder if there's been some damage caused to the weapon of Flashover. The weapon has stopped, the big wheel has stopped, and the bacon blade has survived. Surely Mr. Waffle aren't going to pull off another surprise here, because Mr. Waffle, as things stand, I think I've got a bit of an open net here. Flashover's big spinning disc has stopped and has been shattered at the back there. One of the bulkheads of Flashover has been ripped away by the horizontal bar spinner of Mr. Waffle. And this is a stunning breakout performance by Mr. Waffle. We have not seen the performance levels quite like this before. And Flashover Delta have been so impressive all night. They've beaten Panic Attack, they've beaten Monsoon, they've beaten Kato Nemoidia. Maybe Mr. Waffle is one step too far. They've gone for the pit button here. They know they're in trouble. They're moving sluggishly around the arena. Can they turn the fight around? Because as things stand, I think Mr. Waffle's going to do this. Flashover trying to get round to the back and the sides of Mr. Waffle, but can't do it. And Mr. Waffle, very manoeuvrable, very low profile, low centre of gravity. They've stayed out of trouble. They avoided that big spinning disc at the start, and now they are reaping their rewards because they have got a great chance here to be our first finalist in the 5th International LEGO Wars Special here. And so far, Flashover have got a lot of work to do if they want to keep this amazing streak and run going all the way to the final. Mr. Waffle pushes Flashover back against the back of the arena. It looks bent and buckled, doesn't it? It looks like it's like sort of pulling to one side, like the tracking's out or something. Mr. Waffle, and I know I can. The bar spinner has stayed on this time. The bacon blade, they maybe were a bit fortunate to get past Project Shadow, but they earned that victory, and now Mr. Waffle has a real chance here to use that kind of second attempt at life in this competition and really capitalise, because Flashover's weapon is not working, their game plan has not worked either, and Mr. Waffle here, well, what can Flashover do? They've been slow and sluggish throughout the fight, and Mr. Waffle has been the one causing the issues, you know, pressing back and pushing Flashover all around the arena, and we're going to go to time here. Unless Flashover have got something up their sleeve, I think this can only go one way. Mr. Waffle has been superb in this fight with a second or two to go.
6.
That is that. Over to you, judges, but I think I know who's going to win this one. At the start of the fight, it was all systems go for both robots, both weapons spinning very nicely indeed, and then suddenly Flashover stopped, and that basically set the tone, really. Mr. Waffle was able to pick and choose their spots. They destroyed that bulkhead on the one side. They were able to, you know, drive around freely without fear of losing their weapon and cause damage and control the fight as well. Mr. Waffle here pulling off a miracle.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Mr. Waffle. The Tartan Army are in the final after a superb drive from Mr. Waffle to disable Flashover's deadly weapon early for the win. They'll face the winner of our second semi between the reigning series champs Tantrum of the USA and the determined grabber Chompy of Australia.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
For a place against Mr. Waffle in the LEGO Wars 5th International Final. sentences I never thought I'd say as commentator of LEGO Wars. That's definitely right up there. Will it be Tantrum from the US, or will it be Chompy from Australia? And on the first evidence, we can see so far, I'd say Chompy's ground game is just slightly better than Tantrum's. You can see that fork setup at the front of Chompy has been so effective throughout this competition. Tantrum, of course, also famed for their ground game at the front, their low front end and controllability of fights. But this is a different kettle of fish dealing with Chompy, because Chompy's so good at controlling the pace of the fight as well, and bringing that clamping arm down onto the Tantrum spinner and stopping it dead, not once but twice. Tantrum back up to speed. Chompy goes for the pit button. Already a brilliant semi-final clash, worthy of the final. Tantrum, of course, our LEGO Wars champions. Chompy trying to get an international acclaim of their own. You can see here Tantrum pushing Chompy back. So far, I'd say the traction is definitely in their favour. Chompy has never made a top 4 in any competition. This is their best run in any LEGO Wars competition to date. And so far they are putting on a great show. But Tantrum is such a established veteran at this point, although they're on the arena spikes now. And they have got damage on their front end as well, Tantrum. And that will just make it easier for Chompy to get those forks in underneath and push Tantrum back. And as the fight goes on, Chompy is definitely the one in the ascendancy, although there is damage being sustained by Chompy. Look, the forks have been bent and buckled at the front, and I think some of the piping at the front, and there goes a fork off of Chompy again. There's definitely some damage being accrued here by Chompy. Tantrum trying to get that weapon back into play again, using the weapon and ripping off part of the mandibles on top. Great tactical fight for a place in our LEGO Wars final. Tantrum representing the US, Chompy Australia, for a fight and a duel with destiny, or a duel of destiny, with Mr. Waffle of Scotland awaiting the winner. Tantrum, a good rally back in this fight. This is a really close match, and should it go to time, I don't know which way this is going to go. This is brilliant stuff between the two. Chompy's starting to slow down though now. Are they thermaling, I wonder? Tantrum back up to speed. That weapon, and destroying, I think, part of the mandible. It's still okay, still works, but definitely bent and buckled, and that will reduce the effectiveness of the weapon. And Chompy is definitely slow to a crawl, while Tantrum is still running quite nicely. We are down to the last 5 seconds, and Tantrum is rallying right to the end here. It's going to be so close as we go to time, and it will go to a judge's decision. What a fight! This has to be one of the most competitive fights I think I've commentated on over LEGO Wars. Tantrum and Chompy going blow for blow early doors. Chompy was the one kind of being the more aggressive at the start, pushing Tantrum back, coming into check with their weapon, stopping their weapon on numerous occasions, but Tantrum did fight back and they kept pushing back on Chompy. Damage was sustained by Chompy a lot more towards the end of the fight, and in the end Chompy was struggling to run come the end of the fight with thermal issues.
And the winner by split decision is Tantrum. The thermal bites hard on the Aussies as Tantrum takes the remaining spot in the grand final. Chompy does have a chance to work out any aggression straight away in our third place playoff against a tired Flashover Delta, so let's see who will be collecting the bronze.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Seems almost a shame that Chompy has to fight now for third place after that incredible encounter with Tantrum, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Flashover seem to have recovered their spinning prowess after their fight with Mr. Waffle, and Chompy looking to regain some honour after that narrow defeat, and Chompy getting round the back of Flashover. Look at that, and grappling hold in that sort of little nook behind the spinner of Flashover, and now Flashover on the arena spikes. Can they get away from there? They need to get away from there and fast. Chompy is the one so far being the more aggressive of the two. Chompy's ground game even better than those little, like the long swooping wedgelets look of Flashover. It just shows how good Chompy's ground game really is, doesn't it? It's so impressive, but not that time though. They skidded up those ramps into that weapon. Flashover face to face once again with Chompy, and off comes one of the wedges of Flashover Delta. Chompy now, the Australian, looking for a place on the podium in this international special. A final side competition before LEGO Wars Series 5. Chompy have impressed. Flashover have really impressed, haven't they? They've done so well to get to this stage, the semi-final stage on their return to LEGO Wars, but Chompy is a very, very established and impressive robot, and look at that now. No ground game on the front of Flashover. That will impact how effective that weapon is. And Chompy now, well, it's all in their hands, isn't it? Because as things stand, what can Flashover do? They can just run the weapon into Chompy like that and cause damage, I guess, but so far, I would say that Chompy is the one who is in the ascendancy. Should it go to a decision, they will be the ones who pick up the win, I think, although Flashover is starting to cause and accrue some damage again on Chompy. I wonder if it'll be like the last fight where that damage throughout the fight just builds up and builds up to a point where it's too hard to ignore. We'll have to wait and see. Flashover now, spinning the wrong way, and still spinning the wrong way. Okay, sure, we'll go with that. Flashover, spinning their weapon the wrong way even still. Chompy, going for the pit button, goes and gets the pit button pressed. Now Flashover spinning correctly. And pushed towards the arena wall and then boxed in. Weapon comes to a stop again, restarts. Chompy, still the one in command of the fight and still in control of the fight, I think. Flashover, are they struggling for a bit of mobility? Maybe. Certainly not as effective without those wedges, are they? They've really struggled to kind of get a good impact on Chompy in this fight, and it's going to go to a judge's decision between these two. So with 5 seconds to go, Chompy, I'd say, probably the likely winner, but I'm not a judge. I wonder if they'll be happy with a third place recovery, or will Flashover spring a surprise? While Chompy was the aggressor from the outset, they got round the back of Flashover and grappled behind that weapon. They also knocked the wedges off the front to prevent them from being as effective as we know they can be from the rest of this competition. There goes the second wedge just there. They did get some hits off though, Flashover, causing damage to the front of Chompy, but didn't really seem to affect it. Chompy came back in strongly and I think recovered well. Over to the judges for the final call.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Chompy! A strong end to Chompy's best ever international run as they take third place. And now it's grand final time. It's been the strongest field of international representatives we've ever had, and it's left us with an underdog and a champion fighting for the title. On the left, it's Tantrum, the reigning Series 4 champs that's bounced back from a surprise loss in Champions with a strong run of dogged performances to put them one win away from holding both main series and international crowns at the same time. On the right, it's Mr. Waffle, the seasoned veterans that have always promised a deep bracket run but never quite made it, has finally strung together 4 successive great performances to take itself and Scotland into the grand final. Both machines deserve this year's trophy, but only one can claim it, so let's find out who it will be.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Mr. Waffle of Scotland, Tantrum of the USA. This is it for all the marbles as we go to our 5th international final, and already there's carnage all over the arena as Tantrum have caused devastation to Mr. Waffle. Can they? Oh, well, there goes the bacon blade, and surely they can't recover from this. This is an absolute massacre so far from Tantrum. They've boxed them into the corner. They're off the ground. They're stuck on the spikes. Their wheels aren't touching the floor. Tantrum have been ruthless in this final. They want no business and no shenanigans from Mr. Waffle like we saw earlier on from them against Project Shadow, because this Tantrum, we know they're capable of winning competitions. We've seen them do it before. They won the 4th series of LEGO Wars and they've destroyed the side armour package of poor old Mr. Waffle, who have fought so hard to get to this stage, but I don't think they're going any further. Mr. Waffle have been absolutely annihilated by Tantrum. There are levels to this game, Mr. Waffle, and you've reached the very highest level as more damage accrues for Mr. Waffle. They are right on the lip of the pit. Tantrum, the big heave-ho, with Mr. Waffle going down. They're on the edge. They can't get away. Tantrum spin up, and down go Mr. Waffle. It's all over. Tantrum are your 5th international champions in some style. Well, the glory run didn't have the fairy tale ending for Mr. Waffle. Tantrum in the end was one hurdle too high, and Mr. Waffle were promptly sent back to Scotland in a body bag. Tantrum were ruthless at the start. They ripped the weapon off, they ripped the front end and the side off. They caused all kinds of devastation to the armour here as well, ripping it apart. Tantrum, a worthy 5th international champion and a 2nd major honour in LEGO Wars for them.
Congratulations to Tantrum as they complete a hat-trick of international titles for the USA and become the first robot in LEGO Wars to hold both the main series and international crowns simultaneously. With that destructive final, we draw a close to this year's international, which means it won't be long before Series 5 makes the small screen, so keep an eye out for the trailer in the not too distant future. For now though, I've been your host David of Smeg, and we'll see you in Series 5.
David Hyde Fierce.